For decades, Thailand built a reputation as one of the world's great travel bargains, attracting millions of visitors who arrived expecting beautiful beaches, memorable food, vibrant cities, and experiences that often felt far more affordable than similar trips elsewhere around the globe. That reputation still attracts enormous numbers of travelers every year, yet many tourism businesses across the country have started noticing a trend that appears again and again in visitor spending patterns, with tourists often spending less money than they did during previous years. The interesting part is that many travelers are not necessarily staying away from Thailand altogether, because airports, hotels, restaurants, and attractions continue welcoming large numbers of international visitors from every corner of the world. Instead, what appears to be changing is the way many tourists approach their spending once they actually arrive, as growing numbers of travelers become far more selective about where their money goes throughout their trip. Many visitors today arrive with carefully planned budgets, detailed itineraries, and a much stronger awareness of travel costs than travelers often had during previous decades when spontaneous spending was more common. This change becomes easy to notice in popular tourist destinations where travelers still fill beaches, shopping districts, markets, and entertainment areas, yet businesses often report that visitors are spending more cautiously than expected. Part of this shift can be explained by what has happened outside Thailand rather than inside it, because travelers from many countries have faced rising living costs, higher housing expenses, and increasing day-to-day financial pressures over recent years. When people spend more money on necessities at home, they often become more disciplined with discretionary spending while traveling, even when they are visiting destinations that remain relatively affordable compared with their own countries. This creates an interesting situation where travelers still prioritize taking vacations and exploring new destinations, yet they may adjust their behavior once they arrive by looking more carefully at every purchase they make. Many tourists who once booked premium experiences without much hesitation now spend more time comparing prices, researching alternatives, and deciding which activities offer the best overall value. The same pattern appears in accommodation choices, where some visitors who previously selected higher-end properties now choose mid-range hotels that still provide comfort while helping them stretch their travel budget further. Restaurants provide another example of this changing behavior because many travelers continue enjoying Thailand's famous food scene while becoming more selective about how often they dine at premium venues during their trip. Rather than spending heavily every day, some visitors now alternate between higher-priced experiences and lower-cost local options, allowing them to enjoy a wider variety of activities without dramatically increasing their overall expenses. One reason this trend surprises people is because Thailand still compares favorably with many destinations around the world when it comes to affordability, especially for travelers arriving from countries where costs have risen significantly. The difference is that travelers are no longer comparing Thailand with the Thailand of 10 or 20 years ago, because many are comparing every purchase against rising expenses they face back home and the financial realities shaping their everyday lives. Technology has also changed how tourists spend money because travelers can now compare prices, read reviews, and research alternatives within seconds, making it easier than ever to avoid purchases that feel overpriced. A visitor standing outside an attraction, restaurant, or activity can often find dozens of reviews and price comparisons almost instantly, creating a level of transparency that simply did not exist for previous generations of travelers. As a result, businesses increasingly compete not only with nearby competitors but also with the expectations travelers develop long before they ever arrive in Thailand. This shift becomes particularly visible in destinations such as Bangkok, Phuket, Pattaya, Chiang Mai, and Krabi, where visitors often have access to a huge range of options covering nearly every budget level imaginable. The abundance of choice gives travelers flexibility, and flexibility often leads people to make more deliberate decisions about where they spend their money throughout a vacation. Another factor influencing spending patterns is the growing popularity of social media travel content, which allows visitors to discover affordable alternatives that previous tourists may never have known existed. Many travelers arrive with lists of local restaurants, viewpoints, markets, and experiences that they discovered online, helping them avoid some of the trial and error spending that was once a normal part of travel. This does not necessarily mean tourists are enjoying Thailand less than before, because many visitors continue reporting excellent experiences while spending less money than they originally expected. In fact, some travelers view smarter spending as part of the travel experience itself, taking pride in finding excellent food, memorable attractions, and unique experiences without overspending. What makes Thailand particularly interesting is that the country continues offering an enormous range of experiences regardless of budget, allowing both luxury travelers and budget-conscious visitors to find options that suit their preferences. A traveler can still enjoy luxury resorts, premium dining, private tours, and exclusive experiences, while another visitor can enjoy many of the same destinations using a much more modest budget. This flexibility helps explain why Thailand remains one of the most visited countries in Asia despite changing travel habits and evolving consumer behavior around the world. The tourism industry has always adapted to changing visitor preferences, and many businesses continue adjusting their offerings to match the expectations of modern travelers who place a greater emphasis on value. Increasingly, tourists appear less interested in spending money simply for the sake of spending money and more interested in ensuring that every purchase contributes meaningfully to their overall travel experience. That change in mindset may be one of the most important developments shaping tourism not only in Thailand but across many destinations worldwide as travelers become more intentional with their decisions. The interesting question is whether this trend represents a temporary adjustment or a permanent shift in how people approach international travel in the years ahead. Many tourism experts believe travelers will continue seeking experiences, but they may become increasingly focused on balancing memorable moments with financial responsibility regardless of where they choose to visit. Thailand's ability to offer options across every budget range may ultimately help the country remain highly competitive as global travel continues evolving and visitor expectations continue changing. For travelers, this often means more choices and greater flexibility throughout their journey, while businesses face the challenge of demonstrating value in an increasingly competitive marketplace. The result is a tourism landscape that looks familiar on the surface because visitor numbers remain strong, yet underneath that surface many spending habits are changing in ways that influence destinations across the country. And as more travelers rethink how they spend money while exploring Thailand, another fascinating question continues gaining attention among international visitors. Why are growing numbers of travelers now comparing Thailand directly with Vietnam when deciding where to spend their next holiday budget?